continue, where our fight for justice continues. The beat goes on, whether or not it's community building, as we just did with these panel discussions, or whether or not it's press conferences where we lift up names of those of us who need us to scream a little bit louder so we can have the raindrops of justice drip down upon us today. And today, at this press conference, we're here to talk about Ms. Robinson.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
We're here to talk about someone who we did not forget about.
Amen.
We're here to talk about a travesty and an injustice, but even more importantly, we're here to have a call to action.
Yes, sir.
You know, we talked a lot about holding our leaders accountable and holding our friends accountable, but it's time for Washington, D.C. to act so that we can have justice in North Carolina.
That's right.
It's time for Washington, D.C. to act so that these parents can begin the opportunity to grieve.
Yes, sir. Amen.
So that they can actually sleep at night knowing that they fought for justice for their loved one. Amen. I love fighting alongside Ben Crump because I know that drum beat never stops.
Right.
He's a drum major for justice, a drum major for peace.
Thank you, bro.
And even when he's not necessarily doing the work that you always see on TV, he's always fighting.
Amen.
And so Ben asked me, he said, Bakari, will you help us echo those calls to Washington, D.C. to get this family some justice?
Amen.
And I said, I'm a little boy from Denmark, South Carolina, but they look like they part of my family. And so we're going to continue that fight. We're going to have Ben Crump come up and speak. We're proud to be here on this illustrious, historically black college campus where we've had these fight for justice before.
Yes, sir.
HBCUs are no stranger to this fight.
That's right. Daddy.
And so we're here again to scream loudly, and I will start by asking the President of the United States, the Vice President, both of whom I call friends. I'm asking for Merrick Garland, another individual I call a friend. I'm asking for Anthony Blinken, another individual I call a friend, to do what's right and to do what's just, to do what's righteous and to do what's justice, which is to make sure that individuals are brought to justice for harming one of our beautiful black sisters.
Amen.
With that, Benjamin Crump, please come forward.
Thank you, Bakari. Give Bakari a round of applause. Thank you for using your influence, Bakari Sellers, and your brilliance to always make the case for us. I want to thank so much Dr. Anthony Davis, the president of Livingstone College, for allowing this institution to serve as a foundation for justice for Shanquella Robinson. So thank you, Dr. Davis. And we certainly want to thank Equal Justice Now, our national civil rights organization, and what could be more prophetic than to have Equal Justice Now have a forum where we're demanding equal justice now for Shanquella Robinson.
That's right.
Yeah. We have her beautiful mother, Salamandra, here with us. We have her sister, Quayla, here with us. We also have Mario Black from 1 Million Youth Voice.
Million Youth March of Charlotte and Salisbury.
Okay, and Salisbury. We have Dominique Calhoun, who is the president-elect of the National Bar Association, the largest association of lawyers and judges in America and abroad. We have Ms. Dawn Blagrove, who is the executive director of Emancipate North Carolina, who's going to address you momentarily. We also have Reverend Greg Drumright, who is the executive director and president of Justice for the Next Generation. We have a lot of special people here, but I'd be remiss if we didn't acknowledge Scott Exdale, who is the national chair of criminal justice reform for the NAACP nationally. And we thank all of these people because it's going to take a yeoman's effort to get simple justice for Shanquella. We have Jacob Blake Sr., the father of Jacob Blake Jr., who, as you all remember, was shot 7 times in the back in Kenosha, Wisconsin. Did not think it robbery. He knows about justice delayed. To stand with Ms. Robinson's mother and sister and their family to say, we won't forget your daughter. And so with that, I'm going to give some brief remarks, as Bakari said, and then we're going to hear from Reverend Drumright and Don Blagrove, Mario Black, announcing what their organizations are doing to stand in solidarity with the Robinson family. The developments, as you all know, Attorney Sue Ann Robinson, my co-counsel, and I authored a letter that we sent to President Biden and Secretary Blinken, asking them to do one or two things. And that was either to extradite the killers of Shanquella Robinson, because there's an outstanding warrant by the Mexican government based on the evidence, not just on the video, but the evidence of autopsy, that her neck was broke. That was the cause of death. And we see how her neck got broke based on the video. Or two, to accept the concurrent jurisdiction that the Mexican government has offered America to come and have a federal prosecutor prosecute the killers of Shanquella Robinson. And the reason that is an option, when you think about it, everybody involved were U.S. citizens.
Right.
I don't have to tell you all this story. Her and these alleged friends went to Mexico for a vacation, and for reasons we cannot think of, it's inexplicable, whether it's envy or what, why they would murder,
Answer from thereligionteacher.com.
why they would murder Shanquella. And it's still heartbreaking to think about the video. And so we have put the issue right at the footsteps of the White House.
Yes, sir.
Take it to him.
We expect Senator Menendez, who's over the Foreign Relations Committee, Sellers, to have a meeting with our legal team and the family, Tamika Mallory and others who have been advocating for justice, to explain to us why they can do all these things for other people where they have no video evidence. But when you have video evidence of what happened to this angel from Charlotte, you all are slow dragging. It don't make any sense to any of us. And then also we expect that we're going to have, whether virtually or in person, a meeting with the White House after the 1st of April, at least hear something from them in regards to our request. Now, they have been very cautious to say they don't want to interfere with the State Department and prosecutors, and we respect that. However, she was an American citizen. She was killed on a foreign land, on video. We expect for you to care about this black woman just like you would care about any other American citizen killed in a foreign country on video. So we want you to use the full weight of your office to get justice, because as we talked about so eloquently and passionately today here at Livingstone College at the Equal Justice Now Forum, justice delayed is justice denied. And we're going to get justice for Shanquella Robinson. We're going to get justice one way or the other for Shanquella Robinson. Justice for Shanquella Robinson. Justice for Shanquella Robinson.
Justice for Shanquella Robinson.
Justice for Shanquella Robinson.
Justice for Shanquella Robinson.
Justice for Quail.
Amen. And I know Ms. Dawn Blagrove with Emancipate NC will make a brief statement for you, and then Reverend Drumright. But we're going to hear from her mother and her sister finally before we take some of your questions. So without further ado, a great lawyer, a great leader, a great freedom fighter here in North Carolina, Ms. Dawn Blagrove from Raleigh, North Carolina.
Hello, my name is Attorney Dawn Blagrove. I am the Executive Director of Emancipate NC. That's Blagrove, B-L-A-G-R-O-V-E. Emancipate NC is an organization that is committed to ending systemic and institutional racism, particularly within the criminal justice system. And I stand here before you today not just as an attorney, not just as an abolitionist, not just as an activist, but as a black mother.
That's right.
And I stand here to say to you that we must remember that black lives matter.
That's right.
Amen.
That's right. Amen.
And the justice for black lives matters.
Amen.
It does not matter where this child was murdered.
That's it.
It does not matter the hue of the skin of the people that murdered this child.
Amen.
The only thing that matters is that there is a mother who is grieving.
Yes, sir.
And at this very moment sees no avenue for justice for her lost child.
Tell it.
That is an indictment on America. That is an indictment on the criminal justice system.
That's right.
But most importantly, it is an indictment on the people who have the power to create justice, to stand in this moment and show America and the world that black lives matter.
Yes.
Tell them, Don.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And next we will have Reverend Greg Drumright from Justice for the Next Generation come and greet you.
Good afternoon. I'm grateful to be back on the campus of Livingstone College, where black college leadership has stepped up in more ways than one or two today to draw attention to the issues that continue to plight our community and specifically the next generation of black and brown people in America. I've taken particular interest in this case, like millions of people across the world, because Shanquella wasn't just a black woman, she was a young black woman. As Attorney Blagrove said, her life mattered because at 25 years old, this was a young black female entrepreneur. She was also an HBCU alum.
Yes, sir.
A graduate of Winston-Salem State University right here in North Carolina, where more HBCUs exist than in any other state in the country. I pastor a parish just 45 minutes up the road from here, where 90% of millennials and college students fill my pews each and every Sunday. I am standing with Shanquella's family today because that could have been a young lady out of my congregation. That could have been a young lady out of our neighborhood around the corner from our parish. That could have been one of the young ladies in my family. I've known Mario Black for nearly 20 years, and I'm joining the fight with the activists and organizers today. Justice for the Next Generation is standing with the Million Youth March here in Charlotte and in Salisbury, North Carolina. We're continuing our work with Attorney Benjamin Crump, Attorney Bakari Sellers, to stand in solidarity with this family to bring justice for Shanquella back to her family. I spoke with her family. I don't speak out on any case until I speak to the family so that I can understand who it is we're talking about today. And after speaking with this family, I am convinced, and I'm going to do like Attorney Sellers did. I'm going to call on my friends in Washington. I'm going to call on Assistant Attorney General Kristen Clark,
Call him out.
who I have full confidence in, who stood with our organization, justice for the next generation, as we were fighting for justice for young black folks in Alamance County. And I'm going to ask Washington to do the right thing. We are urging the State Department to extradite the killers of Miss Robinson back to Mexico, where there is an outstanding warrant. As a clergyman, let me say one more thing. This morning, I woke up and my first meeting was on a call with college students as I am leading them through the prophetic book of Amos. Prophet Amos was one of the most poignant prophets in our biblical text, who spent most of his prophetic influence urging that there would be justice. Justice for the marginalized. Justice for those who are poor. Justice for those who are living on the fringes of the society then, and I would argue right now. And in the words of Prophet Amos, I would say, from chapter 5, verse 24, let justice roll down for Shanquella, like mighty rivers of waters, and righteousness like a mighty stream. Justice for Shanquella Robinson.
Justice for Shanquella Robinson. Thank you so much, Reverend Drumright. The final person you will hear from before we hear from Ms. Salamandra and her sister, Quella, is going to be a young man who hails right here in the Charlotte-Mecklenburg County area. He's a young brother who's been fighting with this family from day one. And so I thank him. I thank Until Freedom with Tamika Mallory and my son and the others who have been fighting when there was no press, nobody, because they said Shanquella life matters. And, you know, oftentimes they try to accuse us for only making noise and raising alarm if it's a white police officer that kills a black person unjustly. Well, that is not true. It's not true. Anytime any person is killed unjustly, whether it's a black person or a white person, we make noise because we stand for justice. And it does not matter if it is a cop or somebody in the community. If you kill a person unjustly, you should be held accountable.
That's right.
That is what equal justice is, and we want equal justice now. We don't want to have to come back 200 days later, as Until Freedom is planning a big march on Washington, D.C., if they still haven't expedited these murderers. And so it is about never ever forgetting that Shanquella Robinson could have been your daughter, could have been your sister, could have been your best friend. That's what this is about. So without further ado, Mr. Mario Black, a great leader, a great civil rights leader for not just this county, but for all over America. Mario.
Thank you, Reverend. Good afternoon. I am Mario Black, founder of Million Youth March of Charlotte and Salisbury. I'm going to ask Ms. Robinson and Quilla to come stand beside me for 2 seconds. Just stand beside me as I talk. As Attorney Crump has stated, I've stood with this family from day one, from really October to now. And my sole message and my purpose is to help get justice for Shanquella Robinson. This family have become my family. We did the official rally in December. I said this in Washington a couple of weeks ago. We did the official rally in December. We celebrated her birthday in January. February, we did 1,000 pink letters to Washington, to Mexico, asking authorities to make sure that they do the right thing. March the 3rd, Attorney Crump and Tamika Mallory, John Barnett, a bunch of us traveled to Washington with the Robinson family. We were in Washington making some noise and asking for justice for Shanquella. We was in me and Ms. Robinson were in New York the week after that. Same thing, same message, justice for Shanquella Robinson. That's all we're asking for. President Biden I said the wrong name in D.C., but President Biden, Vice President Harris, do the right thing and let these messages from all these people get to Washington. No justice, no peace. Arrest the Cabo Six. Say it with me. No justice, no peace. Arrest the Cabo Six.
Yes, sir. All right. Thank you so much, Mario. And now we're going to hear first from her sister, Quella, who has been, really pushing this.
Amen.
And you can only imagine if that was your blood, how you would feel. So she's not a lawyer or a commentator. She's going to speak from the heart about her sister. And this is very hard for her and her mother.
Yes.
Okay.
Take your time.
My mama did an interview about a week ago, well, a couple of days ago, and the person in the interview asked her, what would happen if she don't get justice? And I wanted to step in and say, well, in that case, then I need to change my occupation because we got the wrong people in the wrong places, the wrong jobs.
Absolutely.
Amen.
There's no way that it should be 5 months with a video in place.
Talk about it.
And all kind of other information about the individuals that was on the trip with my sister. At this point, everybody in that room should be held accountable. At least one person should have been brought in for questioning.
Amen.
I don't understand it. We've been questioning it since October the 29th of her death. We've been questioning it and trying to figure out why is it taking so long? What is going on? It gets to the point where we have to question our government, and that's sad. And then it gets to the point where we have to stand up here and do press conference. There's certain stuff that we shouldn't have to do when it's too much information is out there.
My Lord. And let me say this. She's absolutely right. This is something that's easy. You have a video.
Facts are clear.
Ocular proof. Visual evidence. You have an autopsy telling us what was the cause of death. My law partner, Sue Ann Robinson, should not have had to go spend a week in Mexico trying to gather up facts to do the job of government officials who can arrest people every day here in Charlotte and Salisbury with no evidence at all. You got all the evidence in the world. What is taking you so long?
Everything you need.
Why do we have to put such an effort for justice for Shanquella Robinson when we know what happened to her? Sometimes it's a mystery. I know Rasheem Carter in Mississippi, little young man who was lynched, everybody, you don't know. We know who the murderers of Shanquella Robinson was. The question is, why haven't they been arrested and sent to Mexico to face the evidence? Extradite them now. Now. And we're now going to hear from Miss Salamandra, her mother, and then we're going to try to take a few of your questions.
Good evening. My daughter, Shanquella, was a great daughter. She was a great friend. You know, she loved people, loved life. And I don't know how no one could have done this to her. It's just terrible that they had a heart. They didn't even have a heart to do her like that. You know, she would give you the shirt off her back. You know, she was a kind child. Growed up to be lovable, love people. You know, and they done her like this. It's just terrible. And then they had a video that went viral. The whole world seen the video. And there's been no arrest since October the 29th.
My Lord.
What kind of system is this?
My Lord.
I just don't understand it.
We will get justice for your baby, Miss Robinson. We will get justice. We're going to try to take a few of your questions, if you have any.
You all were in D.C. earlier this month, and you kind of talked about the diplomatic intervention. Has anything come out of that, or have you talked to? I know you were saying you were going to take the documents to them.
Yes, we've Attorney Robinson and I have got the letter and the supporting affidavits and evidence to the White House, to the Secretary Blinken of the State Department as well. We sent it over to the Department of Justice, to U.S. Attorney General Merrick Garland's attention. As I stated, we are expecting to meet with the Foreign Relations Committee, and we are expecting to have an audience with some members of the White House after April 1st.
And so, that's 3 weeks. We're going on 5 months next week.
We counting down 200 days. We've already said it in Washington, D.C. We know that the National Bar Association is going to be issuing a letter. We understand that all the national fraternities and sororities and different civil rights organizations in that time leading up to 200 days are going to be issuing demands for our government to do something. I was talking to, I don't know if it was President Davis, but we were talking about, and maybe it was Attorney Sellers, about there's an outstanding warrant. You know, why isn't Mexico just coming to get the killers?
Right.
We, the United States of America, do we really think somebody's going to come on our national land and try to take an American citizen without having some agreement that that person could be extradited? And so the question really is, why isn't the State Department extraditing these killers? You know, we keep thinking about, you know, unfortunately, the racial dynamics. This is a black woman. Yeah. When it was Natalie Holloway, we did all kind of stuff. It should be no different. No different at all for Shanquella Robinson, this beautiful angel from Charlotte, North Carolina. Did y'all hear about her character? I mean, what she used to do, she would braid little boys and little girls' hair. I mean, she was just so involved in the community. And for her to be killed in this manner and nobody do anything is a shame before God. We have to get justice. Yes, ma'am.
Have you gotten any sort of response trying to give any sort of explanation from any of the U.S. agencies as to why there is such a holdup?
Well, you know, they've told the family and they tell us that they are working on the matter. But it's just very difficult to believe. What are you having to work so hard on when you got a video and you got an autopsy report and you got a warrant? Mexican authorities have already concluded the investigation. They've said that it was homicide.
The work is done.
The work is done. And so it seems like the only thing remaining, Thomas Lucas, is for them to extradite the killers to a government that's ready to prosecute. If America isn't going to prosecute, let's let the Mexican government prosecute. Let's don't stand in the way, not one day longer.
Period. That's right, Ben.
One more question. Well, you two, and then we'll be finished.
What efforts can be made by individuals to raise awareness around this issue?
You know, I love what Mario Black said, that, you know, the letters. I mean, it matters the more we're calling, sending letters. You know, I thank April Ryan for asking the question at the White House briefing last week. That was very important because we have to continue to use our voice for Shanquella Robinson because she has no voice anymore. And I will hope and pray that if that was my daughter, somebody would think it robbery to say, when I get a chance to speak to power,
that's it.
To speak truth to power and say, what are y'all doing about Shanquella Robinson? Now, I know there's a lot going on in the world, and I understand that. But this is an easy one, President Biden. This is an easy one, Vice President Harris. I mean, all you got to do is extradite killers back to Mexico. And so what individuals can do, and hopefully being here on the campus of Livingstone College, we can have all the young people here on the college campus engage with this family to start a letter writing campaign, an email campaign where we just flood the emails at the State Department, much in the way we had to do with Brittany Griner, say, when are you going to extradite the killers of Shanquella Robinson? That should be everybody every day emailing the State Department to where they throw up their hands and say, man, Crump and Attorney Robinson, yeah, okay, we're gonna address this now. It shouldn't be this much effort. It should not be. It should not be. Last question.
I got to ask, you've worked hundreds of cases, thousands of conversations that you've had over your career. How does this story, how does the work that you're having to put into this, how is it so different than the other stories and situations that you've had to work in the past?
Obviously, this is a little different than, say, a George Floyd or Breonna Taylor. Has similarities to Ahmaud Arbery and Trayvon Martin. When you think about citizens killing citizens, police get to argue qualified immunity, all these things. Well, these are regular citizens. And when you commit a crime as a regular citizen, they come and arrest you. And so what's so different about this, Reverend Drumright, is why are they coming to arrest these people? It's like, they're hiding in plain sight. I mean, they're going on about their life.
Admitted to. And we're in a state where there is legislation pending right now in the North Carolina General Assembly that is forcing sheriffs to cooperate with ICE. If we have a process in place to extradite people who have come to America from Mexico and from all over the world to seek a better life, why can we not employ those same resources and those same processes to ensure that people who are a danger to folks in the communities that they live in Charlotte as they walk the streets freely, where we've seen them on a video brutally murder their friend, why is it so difficult for us to get them to Mexico? Because I can assure you, the extradition processes that we have in place for people who come here seeking refuge is much swifter.
Come on. Thank you. So we don't have to go reinventing the wheel, as Don Blake Grove is saying. They can do it. We will keep you updated. We expect, as I said, to have this meeting with the Foreign Relations Committee in the United States Senate. We expect to have an audience with the White House, and we expect nobody to sleep peacefully until we get justice for Shanquella Robinson. Justice for Shanquella Robinson.
Justice for Shanquella Robinson.
Justice for Shanquella Robinson.
Justice for Shanquella Robinson.
Justice for Shanquella Robinson.
Justice for Shanquella Robinson.
Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you. Thank you all.
All right. Thank you.